could change that policy and do more than meet a minimum of the law. You could easily say, we want to be apprised of all $50,000 or more contracts and put a stop to this. That second $72,000 that was mentioned looks like hush money. I don't think you guys are getting it. You're getting clobbered in social media. And there's things that you need to do to correct these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett.
Thank you, Ms. King. One of the problems is an autocrat running the meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Daniel Brunette.
I would call that before. Liz Bennett.
Bennett, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to.
It's not broke, you only bent.
I'm sorry.
It's not broke, you only bent. That's how you got it.
So Bennett, you have 3 minutes.
I don't need your notes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Though you said what I said, I was going to say. Mr. Burnham hit the nail on the head. I'm Daniel Bennett, I live in White Settlement. I've been working with the Appraisal District trying to reform them for 6 years. We have a new board attorney there. We have a new policy for the board of directors. And one of the policies that we have just passed this last, well, it's not passed yet, it's recommended, is that public comments is you have non-agenda items in the end, and you are able to speak when that item comes up for 3 minutes. Tad used to do it like y'all did. In the beginning, get it out of the way. So I agree with the gentleman who just now has an empty chair. I'm going to tell you a story. The story is about Kurt Myers. He was a sophomore principal, hired in 2015 at the behest of the chief appraiser. He worked for the software company, Manatron, and was fired by Thomas Reuters as soon as they bought out the company. The software was so bad, Mr. Law reached out to Kurt Myers and hired him as a private contractor through an LLC and through his name, paid $100,000 a year outside of the board's purview. Well, that's another issue I had. So we put in our purchasing policy, anything over $50,000 has to come to the board when it comes to professional services or outside vendors. And I suggest you do the same. Now, what did Mr. Myers do to the board once this was all brought to the board's attention? In June of 2020, he went before the board and told them, I'm leaving. I called Mr. Myers Tad's safety net. They needed it because he's the only one who could write all the code to do all the searches. But he told them, I'm leaving. And during that June meeting, he said that my hourly rate is going to $100 an hour. Where is he going? BIS Consultants in Irving, Texas. And when he left, he took a senior appraiser with him, Melanie Larkos, who worked for Law down in Hood. Now, why am I telling you this story? The first board meeting, Mr. Law said it was an emergency in order to keep the district afloat that we give a for-profit $96,000 contract to BIS Consulting because that's where Kurt Myers went. They broke the law. They broke their own purchasing policy that got revamped. So when these ex-employees leave, you need to find people who can actually supply those services at a reasonable cost in a competitive environment. Now, I'm not done with that with the appraisal district, and I suggest you consider what I said today. Ms. King, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I do appreciate the board's time, and I do hope Mr. Lang gets better. Thank you.
Next up is Jackie Cox.
Good morning, board. My name is Jackie Cox. I'm here today to complain that you have on your agenda the most regressive tax one could imagine, a water revenue bond tax. And not only is it the most regressive tax one could imagine and punitive for the poor, it's for the benefit of the city of Dallas. What is this, please? You have for agenda item number 4, a $255 million bond issue to build a pipeline for the city of Dallas as part of your project. I don't mind that the city of Dallas participates in our project. I mind that you put it on my water bill. I live in the city of Fort Worth. The city of Fort Worth is one of your major customers. They collect from me a bill that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year until I'm saying, well, shall I let the grass die or not do the laundry? It is onerous. And you're doing this to us as volunteers. You put $255 million up for a bond issue that you are going to be asked to tell the state of Texas to issue, and it's going to be the Tarrant Regional Water District who pays back that $255 million. I am not amused. I don't think you should be doing it, and I'm going to ask you to ask Ms. Newby and your staff to give you some kind of very good reason why you should be doing this to your water customers. And secondly, the lady who's going to explain this to you is Sandy Newby. Ms. Newby recently filed a conflict of interest disclosure in which she listed her husband, Brian Newby of Candy Hanger, as her conflict. She doesn't tell us in her form what the nature of Mr. Newby's contract is to be. Historically, in 2016, twice, and once in 2017, Brian Newby worked for the firm, or with the firm of McCall, Parkhurst, and Horst. What's their name? Anyway, they're the listed bond counsel on your disclosures. If Sandy Newby's husband, Brian Newby, is going to be bond counsel on this and take a piece of the $12 million that is listed as the cost for the issuance of these bonds, we deserve a straightforward, honorable, straight-up statement of just exactly what Brian Newby's role will be.
Thank you, Ms. Alex. A couple of items. I will ask Sandy when her time comes to actually share and clarify what the nature of the relationship is with Dallas Water Utilities and the overall IPL project. Next, I would just ask that we would continue to refrain from singling out any individual employees with allegations. Next, I would ask that the allegation about doctoring of books through the HR department. I know that we'll have an update not related to this from Lisa Cabrera, but if she might be able to explain briefly about the PTO policy and what the requirements of this district are for payment of employees as they leave. Thank you. Next up, agenda item number 3, consider approval of minutes from the meeting held on April 19, 2022.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?